Close but no cigar for Callum Johnson as he succumbs to Artur Beterbiev and loses his chance at claiming the IBF light heavyweight crown. He put up a heck of a scrap while it lasted. It was a cracking 4-round shootout. At the end, Beterbiev managed to find a good clean one after a bit of a scrappy effort on his behalf. He landed a good right hand at the side of the head, and Callum Johnson was unable to really compose himself again, and it was rightly waved off. But I thought he was a bit unlucky. Even still, Callum Johnson, in the first round when he was decked, it was the referee who called something out. It looked like he was maybe going to intervene. He didn't physically, but he said something that could have just momentarily confused Callum, like, is the ref going to come in and separate? And he's untangling his head from the top rope as this is going on. And then, boom, Beterbiev takes his chance well within the rules, but an unfortunate series of events. In the second round, Callum zips through a lovely little left hook and drops Beterbiev, who's just been standing right in front of him and almost asking, you know, for a guy who can punch. That's the one thing we knew Callum Johnson could do, was dig. And he was almost like, right, let's see what you got. So he uncorks a left and he drops him. This time the Russian was more hurt than Callum was in the first round. And Callum has since scolded himself, saying that was his opportunity, he should have pressed more. Whether it was a decisive factor in terms of it being a moment where he really could have captured victory, I'm not so sure. I question how hurt Beterbiev was, because after looking wobbly when he directly got up, after that his legs seemed to be underneath him quite well, and he just continued on. But the main takeaway, apart from Callum's bravery and how well he did, for me, was a lack of intelligence from Beterbiev, because he was still standing after getting hurt right in front of him, very square. He was smothering his own work a little bit. And for a guy who's IBF world champion, you would have liked to have seen him maybe tuck up a little bit more. I know he's still only, is it 13 or maximum 14 fights now as a pro, and they've all been knockouts. So not the biggest learning experiences either. But when he's closer, you just like to see him tuck in the elbows more, like drop the shoulders and work the shorter shots, where he was kind of open and he was throwing these clubbing right hands that Callum was often getting on the inside of. And it was only really when he landed a good clean one in the fourth that, you know, he managed to wrap it up. But it really had the nice poignant backstory, this fight, that Callum wanted to win the belt for his recently deceased father, who had passed, I believe, from a massive heart attack. He did already fulfill the prophecy of winning the Commonwealth and the British title, but he really wanted to lay that IBF belt next to his grave, you know, look up to the stars and that and say, you know, I did it, which would have been awesome. But he's certainly got nothing to be too upset about in the long run. Yeah, immediately after the defeat, sure, it's going to sting, but he basically went abroad, wasn't intimidated by this beast, and managed to floor him. That's just a big thumbs up. That's another classic example of the famous British Bulldog grit he showed there. As for Beterbiev, I don't really know where he goes next. He's already 33, which isn't ideal. It's almost like a bit of a Golovkin situation, in a sense that Golovkin probably started a bit late. He's hung around in the amateurs too much. Beterbiev's probably done the same thing. He's probably never going to fight Adonis Stevenson, who's had his own separate career with the WBC belt, never fighting Kovalev, and he's 40 now himself. So hard to see where Beterbiev goes. But when he spoke about it later, and his English is getting a lot better, it's very good now, he's talked about how it was a good learning experience for him getting dropped. So let's see, maybe he'll turn this into a positive and he'll tighten up on some of those technical deficiencies we just saw. So onwards and upwards for him, I guess. But last words, Callum Johnson, that was a heck of an effort.